What's happening, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Park Lane Podcast, episode number 81, brought to you by our good friends at Manscaped. If you are new to the channel, you've never checked out Manscaped before, they are a male grooming brand that offer a variety of products to help, freshen yourself up in various places. So they do all kinds of things, from the lawnmower, which I'll let you, come to your own conclusion on what that is. An ear, nose, and hair trimmer, along with lots of other things, and the comfiest pair of underpants that I've ever worn in my entire life. So if you are interested and you want to get 20% off, head over to manscaped.com and use the code PARKLANE20. That's PARKLANE20 for 20% off plus free shipping. I tell you what, people, we've got a bloody full house today. So welcome to everybody. It's going to take us 5 minutes to get through this, but I'll start with you, Mr. Scarf. How are you doing, Harry?
Yeah, very good. Thank you. Thank you very much for having me on, as always. Looking forward to, obviously, getting into a game or not. We're not dissecting a game, we're previewing a game. It's certainly a big one, so looking forward to getting into it.
Exactly. Good to have you on, mate. And Dave's back for another week. Good to see you, Dave.
Good to be back, mate. I'm like with North London derbies. I absolutely hate them, so let's get this over with, shall we?
Exactly, mate. Kallum, do you feel the same way about North London derbies?
Yeah, a little bit, mate. It's going to be one of them ones where we're probably either going to trounce them or get pulverised. So, yeah, but I feel like I'm kind of interchanging with Dave now, whereas when he was off, I was always on the pods. Now I've started dropping back. Dave's always back and all that. So it's quite good that I think we're just syncing up in our diaries.
And last but definitely not least, Wynnie, how are you doing, mate?
Yeah, all good. Like everyone said, it's a bit of a weird show because we're used to sitting here going, "Oh, that was shit. But we've got nothing to dissect, so we've just got a massive game to preview. So
we've already said how shit last week was. So
that's what I'm saying. You did that all for me. I was on the beach in Portugal drinking beer, so who cares? I didn't even watch the show. Sorry.
Welcome to Jay, who said, good to see a full house. Jay did get beat to the earliest comment of the day, though, which was done by Ed0QE. Said, let's do this at 11:24 a.m. today. So well done for that. And which is for you, Wynnie. Jay said he had KFC and Mackey's by the look of it. So,
yeah, Marky's by the look of it.
Ain't know those little dog treats. I swear the dog treats.
Thomas is in. And Johnny is also in the house as well. So thank you to everyone that's tuned in. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube and hit the like button as well. Last week's show did incredibly well. So thank you to everybody that tuned into last week's show. And if you're listening on any podcast platform, make sure you leave us a review and give us 5 stars because that's what we deserve. To be honest, that's what I think.
I agree.
But anyway, let's move on and let's talk all about the North London derby. I know. To start off with, Wynnie, I'll come to you. I want to talk a little bit about some ex-Spurs employees, Mr. Kane and Mr. Dyer. Did the business midweek and knocked Arsenal out of the Champions League, which was nice to see. There was a weird thing going around, wasn't there, on the internet about Spurs fans should support Arsenal because of the coefficiency and so on. Which is a whole load of nonsense, really, because I couldn't care less about Champions League.
I think I answered that pretty clearly on the Twitter page, mate.
Yeah, you did, yeah.
But Wynnie, what do you think about all that?
Yeah, look, I'm going to be brutally honest now. I don't care, and I genuinely don't care whether it's Champions League, whether it's Europa League, whether it's Conference League. Obviously, I would like Champions League if given a preference, but I don't care, to be perfectly honest. There's no way on this earth I am going to cheer on an Arsenal side. So I've actually got a question quickly. I just want a quick answer from you all. I had this debate with my dad earlier, and he actually took some time to think about it. So North London derby, okay, coming up. We beat them, but they win the league. Or they beat us, but they don't win the league. What are we taking?
I'm taking a loss.
I'll go first. Yeah, take the loss.
Yeah. I thought it was a very good question.
Couldn't give a
I
fuck.
think it's hard.
I'm going to
answer
one, Kallum. You're terrible at this game. You have to answer one.
Don't give a fuck.
I gave you my answer. Couldn't give a fuck.
Cool. Okay, nice one. H.
I'm going to be controversial And purely for the vibes, my first North London derby, I really want to win that. I think it'd be excellent. And obviously,
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
to do well. Yeah, you don't want Arsenal to win the league, but for me, Tottenham comes first. It would be to beat Arsenal, which I don't think have a huge effect on top 4 race. But in an individual game, you can look back and Arsenal win the title, and you go, "Yeah, but you didn't beat us this season." So
that don't mean they'll be like, all they'll do is wave a trophy in our face, mate. So
yeah. Well, we might be able to wave it next season, Dave. So just stay. With
I've been saying that for like 20 years, mate.
Oh, you know
make it 21.
You know if they win the league, they'll deliberately drive up Tottenham High Road. They just cross the boundary divide and deliberately just park outside the stadium. And I hope everyone from Broadwater Lane Estate just goes and petrol bombs them. Let's put it that way. I would highly advocate that.
We don't have
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, that's Kallum's opinion. We don't advocate violence as a channel.
Exactly. Yeah, thanks for that.
Just to make it very clear.
Glad you got there. Yeah. Wynnie, before we move on, quick question from Jay. What's happening for Tuesday?
You can't make Tuesday. Surprise, surprise. But obviously we will be going live directly after this show. So there is oh God, I've got cramp, sorry. We've got a Sunday show, and we will be going on Thursday this week as well. So Sunday and Thursday. So apologies, no Tuesday. My fault again. Bad Frankie, but Thursday.
To be fair, I knew we were playing tonight. First I've heard that we're streaming, so good to hear that and absolutely love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Right. Mr. Stubbs, what's your thoughts on Bayern beating Arsenal?
I actually really enjoyed it. I was down the pub, and one of my best mates is an Arsenal fan. So there was 2 Liverpool fans, 2 Tottenham fans, and an Arsenal fan. So what could go wrong? And he was crying at full time. So it was a really dodgy game, I would say that. But that both of them lacked quality. But no, I was quite happy that Kane and Dyer actually did something over them, because it just took Arsenal down a level. They were blowing smoke up their own backsides, thinking that they was brilliant, and they just got outdone by a Tuchel side that plays some of the most boring football in Europe. So, yeah.
No, it's good. It's good, mate. It's good. Dave, quick one. What do you make of Eric Dyer, a man who everybody hounded out of Tottenham Hotspur, and now Spurs fans are, absolutely raving over the fact he got man of the match against Arsenal?
Well, it's still shit, isn't he? But he's playing Arsenal. What else can you say? He was playing Arsenal, and Arsenal, it did make me laugh, and I did tweet about it. I was like, Eric Dyer got hounded out the club, went to Bayern Munich, and this Arsenal attack, who's apparently so deadly, couldn't do anything against him. But it is what it is. I always said he'd do all right somewhere else. Some people just need a fresh start, new beginnings, but he's still shit.
Yeah. Another quick question on that, because I've seen a lot of obviously people talking about the interview that he did with Gary Neville, and they picked out like one specific point which he spoke about in Postecoglou. But I thought he came across quite well in that interview, unless I was like too busy doing other stuff at the same time.
I just think, unfortunately, that's what happens when you do interviews. They pick up on the bits that are controversial and the bits that are going to get retweets and make headlines and everything else. But no, he did come across quite well. He was at Tottenham for a long time. He's obviously clearly got a lot of love for Tottenham. I don't think it was necessarily a horrible dig at Ange Postecoglou. I just think it was more of a case of it. He wasn't there that long. He made an observation based on what he saw, moved on to Bayern, and they do things differently, But I wasn't too fazed by it.
Yeah, it's weird as well, because he said those 6 months were really good, and he loved being there under Ange. I don't really understand how it got so twisted in a way, but whatever. It is what it is, right?
I think that's just journalists and people spinning it.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, because remember, Lloris did a similar interview when he left in January, and he said that Ange was a very good professional, very respectful towards. He's just different style. Conte had his focus on training. Ange has his focus on training. Simple as that. But I know we'll probably get onto that in light of obviously recent events in the last 2 days or so, in terms of that. But I think it was a respectful interview, and Dyer's always been a good professional. He's never been an arse or anything like that. He's never thrown his toys out the pram compared to some people that we've had. So yeah, it was a good interview. It was a professional footballer talking in a professional way, and he even said that he'd like to sit down with Ange at some point and learn and do his coaching stuff with him. So I think that's the only stuff you can take from it.
Yeah, definitely. Harry, Bayern went from being one of the most hated clubs for Spurs fans to being the most loved, over the course of since they signed Harry Kane and whatnot. Were you bothered about them beating Arsenal? Like, did it matter to you?
Yeah, I'm going to be the total hypocrite that I am and saying we care about Tottenham and not Arsenal. There's nothing better for me than when Arsenal lose and rubbing it in. So I had good fun enjoying the game, but I think that you can look at it two ways. You can go that Arsenal put up a fight against Bayern Munich. They haven't been able to do that in recent years. We're talking about a really bad Bayern side. The gap, when you look at the gap in the Bundesliga, it's substantial. I know Bayern Leverkusen are good, but Bayern Munich are just bad. So very happy with that. And just in terms of Eric Dyer, and things do get twisted. I thought we came across really, really well. Really, really respectful. Always has been, I think, regardless of what you think of him. And I was in terms of, not to say flourish, but I thought he'd do well. Who he's next to in De Ligt. If you still very carefully, mine's disjointed. So I don't think they formed the best of partnership. Arsenal didn't really lay a glove going forward in that second leg. And then when they did in the first leg, they looked like they could score every time going forward. So I don't want to get too involved in the Dyer's magnificent thing, because I still don't think that if Bayern had a choice, they would activate that at the end of the season. Well, we'll have to see. But no, very happy. Arsenal out. The only thing is they focus on the league.
Yeah, cheers, Harry. My old ears are now dead. You went so well.
Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, Jesus Christ, did you just put a megaphone in front of it or something like that? The look on mine, Dave, and Winnie's faces was just like, Jesus.
I did
I've
wonder.
got my AirPods in
I
as
saw
well
I keep
today,
going. Must be the microphone. It has a mind of its own.
Yeah, I think because the microphone's like a specific microphone, like it must have, because you moved your head slightly, it's like picked it up on a different side of it or something, and it just blew our heads.
It follows my voice, yeah. I moved quite a bit, so it makes sense.
That's all right. Right. Now we've talked about Bayern Munich. Because no one really cares about Bayern Munich now they've beaten Arsenal. Now we hope they get knocked out so Harry Kane doesn't win the Champions League. But what we'll do, we'll move on to our lineup. So what I did this week is I asked everyone on the panel to come up with their preferred starting 11 for the North London derby, and I thought we'd show them all on screen to discuss each one. And being the fair person that I am, I thought we'd dissect my lineup first. So this
nice
is what I've gone for. So I've gone for Vicario in goal, Pedro Porro, Romero, Van der Ven, and Emerson Royale at left back due to the Udogie injury. Then I've gone for Papsar, Bentancur, Maddison, Brennan Johnson, Heung-min Son, and Timo Werner. I think that pace on the wings will be essential against this Arsenal back four. And I think that's the best way we'll have at beating them. Thoughts, Kallum, on that lineup?
Well, I mean, that picture that they've got for Emerson Royale don't do him no credit whatsoever. He looks permanently confused, and that's what I think he'll be on the left, in the left back position. I don't know. I think Werner needs to drop out because he was atrocious against Newcastle. I think he needs to be hooked completely. I don't think Emerson should play anywhere near that, and you'll see it when I put my team sheet out. But I think the midfield could be all right, but I think that's going to be our main weakness. It's going to be the midfield position, and left back. Well, we ain't really got any blinking options unless you go for Davis or someone like that. So, yeah.
I'll kind of go through it. So, my thoughts on it is that Timo Werner probably will start based on statistics. If we saw some of the statistics that have come out for him, now he's played enough games for Spurs for the data analysts to come out. He's actually got some of the best stats across Europe for that position.
Could finish his dinner, could he?
No. He can't. And everyone's heard my thoughts on Timo Werner, to be honest. But that's why I personally think he'll start. I don't think there's any other choice apart from Emerson Royale left back due to the system that we play. And I know that different people are going to say different things when they talk about their lineups, but there is no way that system changes. And there's no way that certain players that others are going to say, because I've seen all the lineups, are going to be able to play in that system, and we won't change for that. So that's the only reason why I think that Emerson Royale will play there. But I'd like to hear everyone's thoughts in the chat. So let us know your thoughts. Jay has said, such a shame for Udogie, especially when we have tough fixtures coming up. And Jay said Davis has to play, or even Dragoshin. So that's interesting. Right, who should we go for next? Let's pick out Mr. Scarf. Harry Scarf has gone for... Oh, actually, Harry, you can talk about it.
Yeah, fantastic. I think obviously 3 of the black 4 are expected. I've gone with Davis left back, and I don't sound negative here, but it's time to ditch the inverted fullbacks. It floods the midfield. The likes of Davis will be very good as a left back. Ultimately, we're letting in far too many goals. We're struggling. The likes of James Maddison really struggling for pace. So by ditching inverted fullbacks, that'd be a lot better defensively and offensively. I honestly think in a game like this, it make a massive difference. So Davis can play left back. Can you bring it back up so I can talk to the team?
Yeah, sorry. It's only last for 30 seconds.
That's right. I can't remember. That's all. I've got Højbjerg as a DM. I think offers that stability. And ultimately, that back 4 needs protection. I like it. Well, with the doggies there, obviously, even more in terms of personnel, but it hasn't quite gelled. So Højbjerg will rad that. Be Maddison and Bentancur in front. And it won't be like Maddison playing number 10. I have it as 3 midfielders. Maddison will be the left of 3. Richarlison comes straight back in. So I'm very lucky to be on the left and Kulusevski just about on the right because we need someone to hold up the ball. We have no one to hold up the ball. I really like Brendan Johnson. I think he's been fantastic, but I like him coming off the bench, same with Timo Werner. So I think this game could be won from the bench.
No, fair enough. And do you know what, Harry? I'm not gonna feel happy saying this, but actually I do feel that Højbjerg could be a good shout for this game to try and assist the back line. I really think he could do a job if needed. I know. Anybody got any thoughts on Harry's lineup?
Yeah, Højbjerg, put him on the plane to Denmark.
Other than Højbjerg. Yeah, other than Højbjerg.
You'll see who I play. It'll all be revealed.
I mean, realistically, you've literally gone for 3 centre backs and then Højbjerg. So literally, you are going to have Pedro Porro pushing forward, and then Højbjerg, Davis, Van der Ven, and Romero all in the same position. So I think that is way too defensive. You're literally playing Conte style.
Well, look how many goals we can see there. 4 against Newcastle. We can see 4 against Newcastle, be 8 or 9 against Arsenal. It's like things have to change. And inverted fullback, I like it against when a team sits back. Like Sheffield United, they're very important. But Arsenal, they want possession. They're going to come at you. That'll be really interesting. He just gets in James Maddison's way. You can see it. It's very, very visible. And ultimately, look at Wolves game, for example, home where we lost. Or even Newcastle. The goals come from counter-attacks. They come from little spells where we have the ball, lose the ball, and fullbacks are too high. So I think that they just have to go.
How many goals do you reckon Højbjerg's going to be responsible for with mistakes?
Don't even get me started.
I'm not answering that.
Right.
I think he has the best crossfield passing in the team as well. Though I think we lack that.
Yeah, but we don't play crossfield passes. That's the problem. So I mean,
I think we still have to change the system. You can't play the same way. Without your best, for me, ultimately best fullback. But Andrew,
well, Jay reckons that Son and Werner should be on the bench. So
no, you have
unless he's saying Kulusevski and Johnson have to start Son. But anyway, who knows?
None of them should start based off form.
Not enough punctuation to make it out. But quickly, because Johnny has been talking a lot in the chat before we move on, he said, "Let me ask the panel and chat, banter aside, who is favourite in this game?"
Obviously,
well, that's obvious, isn't it? That's like putting a poodle in a greyhound race.
I think he wants to hear you say it, Dave.
Yeah, I don't need to say it. It's obvious.
There we go, Johnny. Your
the favourites don't mean shit. Arsenal favourites against Bayern, remember?
Right. Let's move on. Dave, let's go with your lineup. Talk everyone through it.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I've brought Van der Ven into left back. He played quite a bit there previously. He's got the pace to track back, etc. Dragoshin and Romero in the centre midfield. Biss, I've dropped out of the team, put Sarr in. I've also dropped Maddison for Lo Celso because Maddison has been useless lately. Richarlison straight back in the team, Son on the left, Johnson on the right. But I just think Van der Ven offers that pace down that left-hand side to be able to deal with the pace which comes from Arsenal, from their wingers. And I think he's got the ball-carrying ability to be able to push forward.
Yeah, now I knew that was coming because you're not the only person that's put Van der Ven at left back. But I want to kind of get your thoughts, because I did mention it earlier. Like, do you think he has the ability to play inverted fullback in an system? That's my only worry with it.
To be fair, I know you talk about inverted fullbacks, but he's a left-footed centre back, isn't he? At the end of the day, so he can drift over to play left back, and even if he doesn't always have to come in field. It might not be a bad thing that he thinks more defensive than Udogie, because when Porro's gone, he might think, oh, you know what, I should probably stay. So it could work in that benefit. Plus, his pace is ridiculous. He's good on the ball. He can carry a ball. He can pick a pass. We quite clearly see a couple of weeks ago he can shoot. So why not? He played there at his last club and played left back quite a bit. So it's not a job he's never done before. And what's the alternative? Ben Davis? Nah, I'm all right. I'd rather shit my hands and clap.
No, fair enough. Sorry, to clarify, Jay said yes, Son, Johnson and Kulusevski start, Werner on the bench. No, it's interesting. And we'll go to the other person who's...
Nobody's mentioned Maddison. I'll drop Maddison.
Yeah, we could talk about that.
Big game player, though. Big game player
Really?
will produce. I know he hasn't been good in form, but you need him in these games. But for me, again, the inverted fullback, you scrap that. I think you see the best of James Maddison. I honestly do.
Yeah. Wynnie, what's your thoughts on the Celso in for Maddison?
Do you know what? I obviously, you will see my lineup. I haven't gone for that. But I also, if the team sheet dropped on Sunday and that was the case, I wouldn't be angry at it either, because he has been underperforming massively. Whether it's a fitness issue, he's still got issues with his injury, I don't know, or it's a confidence thing. I don't know what the issue is, but he hasn't been performing. So I personally haven't gone for it, but I also wouldn't be against it.
Very diplomatic of you. Right, Kallum, talk us through this lineup.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, so I've pretty much gone for the same as Dave, apart from with Maddison starting. But realistically, you could probably say Maddison on the right of a front three and Kulusevski maybe in the middle. I don't know what it is. It's just Kulu's got something about him where he can control stuff. He can slow a game down if you need him to as well. And I know people say that's a detriment to Ange's system, but I think there's something about it where he offers just a little bit more composure than Maddison being a petty little bitch like he has been in the last couple of weeks in midfield. So, but yeah, same with Van der Ven and Dragusin. I think that Dragusin's got something about him that looks quite interesting, and Van der Ven can do a lot of left back, I think, as well. And then Richarlison up top, I think that's got to be something where he can definitely pester the Arsenal back line compared to other players in there. Because I don't, if Werner has the amount of chances that he does in this game, he'll screw it big time.
Not only that, why I agree with you, Cal, on Richarlison is the physicality in terms of being a nuisance to Gabriel and Saliba. At the end of the day, they've been the best centre-back partnership this season by far. Yes, all right having the pacing behind, but they don't allow you to have that with the way that they play. So realistically, you need someone to be a bit of a bully up front. You need somebody to create those chances and to ruffle a few feathers, and somebody who just runs and runs and runs, and that's Richie.
That's what we've lacked in the last couple of weeks. Someone just pestering people. Because all Son does is, where he's playing as this number 9 position at the moment, he keeps running into places where he's got no idea where to go. He's ending up on the floor. The problem is, what he's reminding me of right now is bloody Lucas Moura. He is literally just running into dead-end spaces with nowhere to go. Just beats the first man, then can't do anything else. And don't get me wrong, I love Son. I think he's one of the best players that I've seen in my lifetime. But just the way that we're playing at the moment, he's just lacking ideas. And I think Richarlison just being an arse can literally just annoy probably Gabriel to get him sent off or something like that. So it will put in our advantage. But I don't feel confident ahead of this game anyway, to be honest.
No, that's fair enough, mate. That definitely is an argument that system can work with Van der Ven at left back, and it kind of moves on to a little bit like what I was discussing last week when I talked that potentially we could go to a 5, but actually that would work even better. What could happen is that Porro could go forward, Van der Ven can stay back. They all just slide across and then become a 3 at the back with Porro adding to the midfield. That in this system under Ange Postecoglou would actually make a lot more sense, because then you wouldn't always be caught out on both sides. But again, that's just something that And does. I don't personally see it changing because we didn't see it change when a doggy was out last. But I'm not the oracle. Mr. Wynnie is, and this is the lineup he's gone for.
Oh God.
What's wrong with that? No, yeah, it's look. For me, personally, I think the whole Udogie situation, yes, obviously it is devastating that we've lost one of our most influential players. However, what I have noticed is, he's very, very willingly going forward as of late, but not so willingly getting back. So I honestly don't think Van der Ven's, I know he's played there, and I just don't think he suits that inverted fullback role. And I'm not saying Ben Davies does. I just think Ben Davies will be less inclined to go forward and may make us give us a bit more stability at the back, essentially create a back three, which you've just alluded to, Luke. I think Basuma needs to be binned off. I think Sar's the man for it. Benton Court, as we've said with Madders, and I think Harry said it, he's a big game player. If we give Madders an inch on the edge of the box, we've got a chance he could bend it in the top corner, or if we've got a free kick late in the game. And I also think the Kulusevski, John, if I'm completely honest, I didn't realise Richarlison would have been fit. So I may have added Richarlison to my lineup, but I went with Kulusevski on the left because he's so predictable. All he does is cut in on his left and whip a cross in. But if we stick him on the left-hand side, we can maybe get him down the byline and put in a good... Because one thing he can do is, as Kallum said, he can slow a game down and he can whip a good cross in. So, and I think Brendan Johnson has to play because he's a man in form. So that's my side.
Yeah, I agree with Brendan.
Can I just add something as well? Obviously, last weekend, Porro went off injured, and there's still a question mark over whether he will be fit. I know Paul O'Keefe said yesterday that they are still assessing him, but what does that mean if both Porro and Udogie go out? How do we feel that will be? Because do you play Dragusin? Do you play Royale? Do you play Davis? Literally, the backup options is really where we are weak.
Well, Ange keeps things simple, mate. He always does. And when one player is injured, that's why I know Van der Ven won't go left back, because it's always been his style that when one is injured, he just replaces them with the backup option. So it will be Davis and Royale if neither of them.
That'll cost him his job though. If you're not flexible in the Premier League, you don't adapt to opponents' strengths and weaknesses. Premier League's a harsh league. He'll be gone before you know it. I can see it happening next season.
I couldn't disagree more with you, Harry, at all. I think we're, people got to remember that when Pochettino first came to Tottenham, we were fucking hopeless for a little while. We had the same sort of thing where it was like we'd go on a run, we'd smash teams, we'd get smashed. It took him a while to really bed in and get the style and the system and the players used to exactly the system he wanted to play. And then the signings that he made after that time were players that suited that system. So it's a similar sort of thing to Ange. I haven't been very happy with his lack of flexibility. I think it's been poor. But you've got to give him a chance. You can't judge someone after one season.
What I'm saying, Dave, is if you have a doggy in Porro out, you can't keep playing the same way without your influential fullbacks. You cannot put them, in the opposition's half.
No, but this is what I'm saying to you. You have to remember that Ange didn't sign Ben Davis. Ange didn't sign Emerson Royale. They might not be the fullbacks that he wants in reserve. So you give him an opportunity to find the players that he wants to sign who can do the job for him. You've got to give him time to build the squad that he wants to build, as opposed to the players that he's just been given.
And absolutely, you should be given time, but you can't. You need to make sure you're not shooting yourself in the foot.
I think you're both right in a sense. I think that Dave, you're 100% right. Like, we have to give him as much time as Arsenal have given Mikel Arteta, for example.
Yeah.
Because you have to say, okay, now this is your squad. Here are the keys to the kingdom. Go and do what you can do. If he does that, and we get battered every week, then you can start talking about things like that. But I also agree with you, Harry, that in a sense, if he hasn't got those players that he needs and can rely on and can trust at this moment in time to play the system that he has, then potentially he has to look at it and say, I don't have these people. It will be, negligence or negative of me to go and, play that way, suicide football, when the players can't do it. So, look, it's only in his mind that we know what's going to happen, right? And I suppose we'll find out come Sunday. But moving on, I want to talk about the two managers quickly. So, Kallum, I'll come to you first and we'll quickly rush around everyone. But I want to talk about touchline antics because Mikel Arteta is notorious for running up and down touchline, screaming in officials' faces, doing whatever he pleases that is beyond the realms of what you can do as a manager. Yeah, he gets away with it. Rather than Ange Postecoglou is very, very placid in the touchline for the majority of the time. Quick question for you, Kallum. What would you rather have? Not which manager would you rather have, but what style of manager would you rather have?
I think from an entertainment point of view, you'd go for Arteta, but for a general manager sort of composure and professionalism, you go for Ange, I think. Because if I saw Arteta doing that on the touchline, I would happily drop kick him from the other technical area because it just frustrates me when people do that. But we had that with Conte as well. We knew we all love Conte Cam. We didn't love Conte, but we love seeing Conte Cam and him having his bits. But yeah, I think it's a matter of age because what is it? There's probably about 20 years between the two of them, maybe just a little bit less. I think it's just about Ange's maturity, his age, than having Arteta being a whiny little bitch.
What we say as well? Do you reckon Ange Postecoglou is a smoker?
Oh, I don't
know. For every interview, mate, he's definitely chopping the bag in the dressing room before he comes for interview. 100%.
In the dressing room.
Who was the manager a couple of years ago that used to always...
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think I heard they had to build a smoking area at the back of Stamford Bridge just so he could go out half time instead of walking all the way around the stadium and the concourse. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, he could be. I mean, I'm a smoker and he's a little bit more congested than me, but not far off.
He's a bit older than you as well, lad.
Not much.
Yeah.
Only a little bit.
Piss off, Dave.
Yeah. Wynnie, who would you rather have? What style of manager?
Yeah, just give me Ange every day of the week. I don't care for Arteta's antics. Like he's just it just annoys me, if I'm honest. It just pisses me off. Just all this bullshit that he goes with and crying after every game and like, you know what I mean? Like if we get beat, like we should do sometimes, like all football teams should, like Ange will come out and he'll say, well, we weren't good enough, but we'll work on it, and next week we'll be better. It's as simple as that. Whereas Arteta will be like, oh, well, this was wrong, this was wrong, this was wrong. No, just give me Ange every single day of the week. I can't stand Arteta, and not just because he's Arsenal manager. I just can't stand his character and what he kind of brings to the table. So yeah, just give me Ange every single day of the week.
No, fair enough. Harry, slightly different take on this question now. But I always call Mikel Arteta, master of the dark arts, as in, his players are always going down. His players are always, going down injured at times when the opposition is getting a foothold in the game. You'll see it on Sunday. If we start to get a foothold in the game, there'll be times when players go down easier. There'll be times when they try and stop the clock as much as they can. Do you, knowing how, what type of football you like and how you like football, do you like that side of a manager, or would you rather it was just get the ball back in play and keep going?
Listen. I'm all one for doing absolutely everything you can to win a football match. And, I've been there myself with the school team in terms of, you'd lose, I think at one point, 17 balls on the roof because you wasted time. You get told beforehand that the clock doesn't stop. Excellent. And you're the plan as soon as you took the lead. So, in that situation, you do everything you can to win. And why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? But ultimately, when he touched on it, I think there, and you think you've all kind of touched on it. Arteta as a person, I find him insufferable when they lose. It's the constant tears. It's the constant that the pitch was wet, that fixture overload, and he's not the only one. I feel that both Pep and in particular Klopp can be like it at times. I think Arteta is just that another level worse. But I like in a way the micromanagement on a touchline. I like that little bit of character, but in terms of classiness and just all-round person, it has to be Postecoglou. But yeah, it is frustrating, but I could easily criticise Arteta for doing that. But if that's me, I'll be doing anything. And I'll be the type of person when you're winning the game and, say be a ball boy or be a manager, I won't be giving the ball back. I'll be absolutely keeping hold of it. You're doing anything you can and, step on the pitch if you need to throw a second ball on. It's all part of the game and doing anything you can to win. So I can't really excuse that or fault that if you like.
Yeah, fair enough, mate. And Dave, over to you. You've heard everyone's thoughts on both the opinions. How do you feel?
All right. So, a few things Harry said. It's all well and good doing the dark arts, and it's all well and good, doing those things yourself. The problem with Arteta is they do all those things themselves, but once it's done to him, he cries like a little bitch, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
He'll sit there and he'll be like, "Oh, my team got to do everything to win, etc., etc., etc." But when another team does it to him, he's on the touchline crying his eyes out, trying to run basically onto the pitch. Give me a barbecue over paella any day of the week, at the end of the day. So, the reality of it is I cannot stand Mikel Arteta. I think he's done an all right job at Arsenal. He's been given an absolute war chest to do it. And a lot of people seem to forget that. He has been given money. They spent an absolute fortune and they've won the same amount as Tottenham. Apart from that one FA Cup in his first season that weren't even his team. But he's been given a war chest since then. He's signed all these players. He's bought all these players that he wants to buy. He's done everything that he wanted. He's got all the backing that he could possibly want. And they still won the same amount as little old Tottenham. So, fuck Arsenal.
No, fair enough, mate. It's I do completely agree. Like, you're right. It's a little bit like that phrase, you got to be able to give as good as you get, right?
Yeah.
Eric Dyer's got the same amount of Champions League, goals as Arsenal have appearances in the last few years.
Semi-final appearances, I think it is.
Is what it is. Fuck Arsenel. Couldn't give a shit.
Also, mate, I'd take barbecue over paella, but I'd take a Madry over a Foster's, to be fair.
That's a great shout.
Well, because
no one's picking Foster's.
Foster's is English anyway, so I mean, it's not even a fucking Australian beer. It's just English knockoff shit.
Right. Okay. A few difficult questions, and I would like them, quick as you can. So we'll go through the list. So Harry Scarf, if you could take one Arsenal player, who would it be? But you have to swap it for the starting position from the Spurs team as well. Does that make sense? So you have to swap. So if it was like Martin Odegaard, you'd swap him for James Maddison. Go.
I wish it could be someone in attack, but.
Easiest question.
Because we need to attack it. Well, wait till it gets your turn. I don't think it is easy at all. It'd probably be Declan Rice for Basuma, to be honest with you. If I had to choose one.
Dave?
Yeah.
Same.
Kallum?
I weren't listening.
Surely you can grasp what's happening.
No, I was more focused.
He's not as clever as he looks.
I was looking at Johnny's stupid comments, just him trying. So I mean,
if you had to swap one Arsenal player,
he's like Arteta.
Who would you pick?
Probably Saliba. Oh, not Saliba. Saka for Johnson. Yeah,
that's a good shout. Wynnie?
To be fair, before everyone started saying theirs, I probably would have said Saka for maybe possibly Johnson. But then also the Declan Rice debate would actually be a great shout. So I'm going to go with the Declan Rice for Basuma debate.
What about yours, Luke?
I think I'm going to go Martinelli for probably who would be Werner or whoever would play on that left wing position because I'm.
Absolute shocker. Martinelli. He had the worst season of his Arsenal career. He's going to be one of the worst wingers.
You're talking one season. One season. I'm talking about the ability the kid has as a footballer. He's an absolutely unbelievable player.
Imagine Martinelli in this Tottenham. Imagine Martinelli in this Tottenham team in that Ange style.
You won't get in the team. You won't get in the team. Absolutely not.
You'd have a day off, lad.
Right,
let's go to...
What about Thomas Partey for Basuma? That'd just be...
that's a subject we probably shouldn't touch upon on this podcast.
No.
Probably should move swiftly on. Right. Wynnie, what's Arsenal's biggest threat against Spurs?
I would say, I've got to say the wingers. Too many teams seem to be beating us down the side of the pitch. Mainly, I think, due to our inverted fullbacks being so far up the pitch, but that might change if, like I said, if Davis is in there instead of Udogie. That might give us a bit more joy in the fact that he will be sitting more than he will be going up there. But I'd say, it's quite obvious, but I think it's we're talking a Saka on the wing, and then whatever bomb they put on the other wing. But yeah, that's the threat.
I disagree.
Okay.
And what's Wynnie? What's Spurs' biggest threat against Arsenal?
Do you know? As simple as that. Heung-min Son. I think he loves a goal against Arsenal, even though he has been so underperforming recently. Big players like that, and he just loves a goal against Arsenal. So I think our biggest threat is probably Heung-min Son. And I know that's not really, that's just isolating a player, but I genuinely think that is our biggest threat.
Fair enough. Kallum, same 2 questions for you. What's Arsenal's biggest threat and what's Spurs' biggest threat against Arsenal?
I think it's going to be their midfield against ours. I would say that Rice, Odegaard, and whoever they've got against our midfield, I think they will dominate us completely in the midfield. But yeah, like Wynnie said, either Son or Richarlison going to be our go-to men that have to do something. It's going to have to be a counter-attack or beating their press. That's the only way we're going to do anything, to be honest.
Yeah, fair enough, mate. I'll jump in now because I think Spurs' biggest threat could be this system and the way that Ange plays football. If we can get it right, I think it could really, really work against Arsenal. If you watch the analysis of Aston Villa that Jamie Carragher did against Arsenal, the way that they played out of defence and were able to counter-attack on Arsenal quite incredibly with their back four so high. I think the same could happen for Spurs against Arsenal. But we have to get it right, and it means that every touch has to be on point. And that's probably also our biggest weakness, that actually we probably can't do that. I think defensively for Arsenal is probably their biggest threat. I think they are solid in defence. And could be difficult for us to break them down, but, you never know, right? Dave, how about you?
Yeah, so I kind of disagree with Wynnie a little bit. I actually think Arsenal's biggest threat is Odegaard. I think playing them passes through the lines around our high line to them fast wingers is what could hurt us. I agree with you, Luke. Tottenham's biggest threat will be the system. If we can get it right and we can do what Villa did and we can exploit that high line, we have the pace to be able to hurt them. It's just whether we've got the finishers to be able to put the ball in the net. So, Odegaard worries me because he does have that ability to pick a pass, play through the lines. And we saw against Newcastle, for example, what happens when that works against us.
Yeah, perfect, mate. And Harry, have you been making faces, shrugging shoulders all the way through? Tell us your thoughts on our biggest threat and Arsenal's biggest threat.
Well, we've heard some common sense, and we've also heard dross. So, firstly, with Wynnie, I think that he's spot on in terms of Son. Whatever you think of him in the form he's in, he's very, very clinical. He will take his chances when it comes to him 9 times out of 10. So I think it could really hurt Arsenal. Always has done. Let's be honest, we ended their title hopes last year. Well, Son ended their title hopes last year with his clinical finishing. Dave, I don't buy into Odegaard. I don't think you're going to see, with my theory with Højbjerg, Odegaard won't get that space. That's why Højbjerg starts as a DM. Odegaard won't get that space. So that ultimately wouldn't be a problem. But no, statistics tell you that Arsenal's biggest threat will be from set pieces. We can't defend them. They love scoring them. It really is, for me, as simple as that.
That's a great shout, actually.
That's a good shout.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting.
It'd be good. Odegaard's going to, if Højbjerg plays, Højbjerg's going to give away a free kick and Odegaard's going to score it. That'd just be luck, wouldn't it?
I'll be there when Højbjerg scores. In the right end.
Yeah, doubt that. Very much doubt that.
And now it's time. Now it's time for those all-important score predictions. Now,
I'm ready.
Wynnie is a man on form at the moment. He's now closed the gap in the league table to now within.
Oh, look at that!
The correct score against Arsenal could put him joint top if I was even to get the right team to win. So, depends how you're going to play it, Wynnie. Are you going to play it tactically? Or are you going to play it like the way you should do?
What's the way I should do?
Well,
hang on. If it's the way you should do, Wynnie, let Luke go first.
Okay, I'm happy to go first. Because there's no chance in a million Sundays that I'm ever going to predict Arsenal winning. It's just never, ever going to happen, regardless of a score prediction table or whatever. No way I'm going to bet on it. So I'm going to go 2-2 draw.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a cop-out. What a cop-out that is. I'm never going to bet Arsenal. I thought you was going to go with like 2-1 Spurs, and you went for draw.
He's so full of
Mate,
shit.
I'm not an idiot.
You're so full of shit.
It's like irrelevant of the prediction table. I don't care.
I'm going to draw.
Such a cop
Jesus
out.
Christ.
That's why they pay me the big bucks. Right. Callum, I'll come to you next.
I'm going to have to go 2-1 Arsenal. And I really
Scumbag.
don't want to. But yeah, I know I am. But I'm used to it. But I can't see us getting a win. We're too decimated, mate. We're too decimated at the moment.
Johnny's gone 4-2 Arsenal.
I don't think they've got that much about them, have they?
Harry, I had no doubt in my mind is going to go for an Arsenal win. It's just by how many goals.
No, I was going to go with 2-2, but you stole the score, and I want to sneaky come back and be in a title race right at the end. And I was going to go 2-1 Arsenal. Callum stole that, so I'm going to go with a little bit of surprise. 2-1 Spurs. 90 minutes, we're in their title fight.
Bloody hell.
I don't believe it though.
Passionate speech I gave has worn off. That's good to see. Dave, are you going for? What are you going for?
I'm the same as you, Luke. I was never ever gonna predict an Arsenal win. You know, I'd rather cut my ear off and do that. So I was the same as you, 2-2 draw, and that's what I think it'll be.
And lastly, Wynnie, what are you going for?
I'm going to go with what I always think the score is going to be. I'm always unbiased, and I genuinely think that, unfortunately, on this occasion, Arsenal are going to have too much for us. So I think Arsenal are going to win 2-1.
You're a scumbag. Right.
I'm not a scumbag.
My head says draw, but my heart says win.
Do I want them to win? Of course I fucking don't. But do I think they will win? Yes, I do. It's just as simple.
Hang on, are we home or away? Where is it?
Home.
Is it home?
It's at home.
Oh, we're home.
Come on,
Yeah,
Dave.
Yeah. No, do you know what? And
Harry, I'm nearly 40, mate. Give my memory a break.
Fair enough.
and yeah,
It's them rats eating you in your sleep. They're gradually taking a little bit of your brain away each week.
You just
of
don't
all
feel
the
it.
score predictions that I predicted in my head, you know, who would go with what and so on, I never thought Harry would go for a Spurs win.
No,
Nor did I. I came into this show thinking Arsenal were going to win. So
I didn't think Wynnie would go for an Arsenal win.
No, exactly. And I didn't think Wynnie would go for an Arsenal win. But he's seen that league table and he wants it, doesn't he? Wants that title.
I'm coming for you.
Yeah, exactly. And Jay has said I would take a draw.
Just put it out there.
Right.
If I get a 2-2 draw, I'm closing on Wynnie. So bring it on.
Ooh, interesting. To be honest, I haven't even thought about who could catch Wynnie. Let's bring that back up.
I'm only 6-7 points behind something like that.
Yeah, let's have a look.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
But
I get a win, 24 points.
what don't help is that our next 3 games are what? Arsenal, Liverpool, Newcastle. So I mean, they are like the worst.
Newcastle?
yeah, Newcastle. Where's that come from? Chelsea.
No, yeah, Chelsea. Even
Chelsea
fucking
for
worse.
Liverpool.
Even fucking worse.
Right, before we wrap up, let's talk a little bit about FPL. But before we go into that, actually, you may have seen Dave tweet this week about the excitement about what's going to happen next season. We have a lot of stuff planned, and we have a lot more stuff that we are going to plan. And there's a potential of quite a few new shows happening next season. So if you are enjoying the content, as always, make sure you subscribe and follow us on Twitter and everywhere else, because there's a lot of content that will be coming your way. We just got to work out the logistics, all starting from next season. Looking at potentially the spoiler of giving you minimum 3 to 4 shows a week. So that's the plan. And that'll be accessible to everyone, should be accessible on all platforms as well. So just thought I'd shout that out. But let's talk FPL, Dave, because as of right now, because it was only updated yesterday, you are not top of the league. But then I say this every week, then you go back to the league.
I can tell you why. Cole Palmer is why. Because the people below me captained him. And one person captained him by accident because he was on their bench. But yeah, it is what it is, mate. I'm not worried. I'm still well within there. And, I've still got a couple of chips left to use. So I'm absolutely fine.
Perfect. So currently, Juan Sancho, as of right now, is top of the league. Dave's currently second as of yesterday's points, got 44 points, which is unbelievable for yesterday. I am in 6th place. And then we scroll down to Wynnie in 10th place. And then we scroll down to 14th for Harry Scarf. And then 16th for Kallum.
0 points so far.
This week has got 0 points so far this week.
Wonderful.
He's got Ramsdale, Mitchell, Van der Ven Son. Van der Ven Son don't feature. Madison, Haaland out. Then at Chemity still. I still don't know who that is.
You say that every week.
I know. I can't get my head around it.
But yeah, if you are in our FPL league, keep pushing, try and beat Dave, because I can't stand him winning this league, but you probably will anyway.
And if you're an FPL fan, make sure you get in touch and make sure you get in touch with me and give me some banter on Twitter, because I'm all for it.
Yeah, definitely. Right, and that kind of wraps us up for this week's show. We'll be back next week to talk about the results of the North London derby, and we'll see which of our team decide they want to come on after the potential result. But let's go around the houses. Harry Scarf, thanks for coming on. How can everyone find you?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. You can follow me there, Harry Scarf 22, but also my channel, Scarfy Spurs. We've got the Premier League show every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. You've got the weekly Spurs podcast every Monday, 7:45 p.m. We've got the likes of Billy T on this week, so it should be a good one. Looking forward to it. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Lots of content coming, as Dave and Luke and etc. have already said, next season. So stay tuned. Good time.
Amazing. Cheers, mate. And Dave, how can everyone find you?
Here, mate. Park Lane Pod Dave on Twitter. I am active on the Park Lane Podcast Twitter page as well. So, like I said on my tweet a few days ago, lots of exciting things coming up. Lots of fun stuff and, things for you all to get involved in. So thank you to the people that tune in regularly and, let's really push on for next season. But if you want to have a chat, tweet me at Park Lane Pod or at Park Lane Pod Dave. And trust me, I'll give as good as I get. If you don't know that by now, you never will.
Brilliant. And Kallum, how can everyone find you, buddy?
As always, mate, Kallum Stubbs 97 on Twitter. Thanks for having me on again. I may be popping up on a couple of different pods in the next couple of weeks, so people can take a look to see if I'm there or not. But yeah, if not, I will just be sitting at home doing Sweet FA as usual. So let's see how we get on.
Amazing. And last but not least, Wynnie, how can everyone find you?
Yeah, Wynnie1991 on Twitter. Most importantly, just really, really push this channel now, because we're just trying to, as we've said, I don't want to just keep repeating what everyone said, but there's a lot of things that we're trying to do to try and get more things and more content for everyone to enjoy. So, we pushed it with the FIFA thing. That seems to be going quite well. So, we're just trying to explore loads of different avenues. So if you aren't subscribed, then subscribe, and all of that, get the channel pushed as far as you can, because it really, really does help.
Exactly. This channel is for everybody, no matter the age, gender, race, so social status, whatever that is. You're all welcome. Whoever you support, you're all welcome as well. So join us. Why not? And, why not join us right after this at 8 o'clock and on YouTube again for a little bit of FIFA. So we'll be there with Kirk and Kieran and Wynnie and me. And, we'll play a few games tonight and hopefully catch a few of you over there. But look, hoping for a Spurs win this coming week. But we will see. What we will see is we'll see you all next Sunday, 7 p.m. on Park Lane Podcast. And a massive come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.